Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me in another of my amazing interviews. Today we're going to look at meditation. I hear about this a lot, how we've got to quieten the mind, how we've got to be still, how we can get in touch with our inner soul. And loads of people email and say, Richard, do you meditate? How do you meditate? You should meditate and all that sort of thing. And I find it absolutely fascinating because it seems to me there are so many different ways of doing it. People have been writing about this. You'll see many, many books on the subject. But it can be quite difficult to know if you're doing it correctly, if there is a correct way of doing it. So today, my wonderful guest is somebody who does this and can tell us all about it. Her name is Kim Benson. She is a nutrition and meditation coach and a dissertation professor. So I'm absolutely thrilled to bring her to the show. Hello, Kim. Thank you for joining me today.
Hello, Richard. Yeah, lovely to be here with you. Thank you for that introduction.
Well,
yeah,
I'm hoping that you can help me understand meditation. In the past, I did buy some books on it, but actually, I found the books too prescriptive and difficult to sort of turn into the real world, because it's all right when you're reading something about it, but actually knowing if you're doing it correctly, if you're getting into the right state, how do you know, and all of that. And just to confuse things, when I was younger, my dad used to do hypnosis, and he showed me how to do it, and I did a little bit of hypnosis on other people. And so to me there's a sort of similarity between the two, but I think they're probably quite different animals, and yet they're all sort of to do with the mind. So can you please help me and unwrap the meditation?
yeah, sure. So there's lots of different types of meditation, as you've probably gathered.
Yes.
And, there's things like guided visualization, where you imagine that you're on a beach somewhere and the palm trees are swaying and it makes you feel really relaxed. And that's lovely. That's very calming and very soothing. You can do very simple type of meditation. You go out for a walk in nature and you become attuned to the rustle of the leaves in the trees and the birds singing, or you can go by the water on the beach gently lapping the waves. All of those kinds of natural sounds can make us feel very, very relaxed. There's things like qigong, which they do a lot in the East, which is just this very slow exercises, very slow movements with your body, and that helps to calm the mind as well. So there's lots of different types of meditation, but the one that I focus on is silent meditation, which you might say is the hardest type, because you have to quieten your mind, which is pretty difficult because our minds are going 10 to the dozen, as you're quite aware. I think scientists tell us we have something like 60,000 thoughts a day or something like that.
Wow,
It's
that is amazing.
non-stop.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, about 80% of them tend to be a little bit negative, a little bit, critical and not helpful. And staggeringly, they say about 95% is just repeating. We just keep going over and over scenarios in our minds. And so it's not particularly helpful, especially when you begin to understand that every thought you have affects every cell of your body. It either will move those cells in the direction of growth or in the direction of decay, make them more acidic or more alkaline. So your thoughts are not just nothing that disappears, but every thought has an effect on your body. Your
Right.
thoughts are actually electrical waves that affect your body. So we need to take back control, really, of our thinking, because at the moment, most of us, we're like runaway trains. So by doing the silent meditation, we're giving ourselves an opportunity to pull it back, and take control and become aware of our thinking. And so that's why I do the silent meditation. And also I feel that this gives us the best opportunity to make a deeper connection with the truer, deeper part of who we really are, because we really are souls here having a physical experience. Scientists tell us, don't they, that we're 99.999% empty space, although it's not really empty, it's full of potential energy. So when you think of it that way, we are mainly empty space. When you get to that sub-microscopic level,
Right.
study the quantum physics aspects of it all, we are basically an empty space. And it's in that space, I think, where our souls reside. And they reside in the stillness and silence of that equilibrium. So when we can quieten our minds down sufficiently, it gives us a good opportunity to connect with that deeper part of who we are, that knows everything about us and that knows the best way forward for us individually with the various circumstances that we face. But to go from 60,000 thoughts to silence is a
Yes.
big jump. So we
Yes.
have
So
to
it's
prepare.
like a
We have to
slow
prepare.
deceleration of those thoughts. You can't just stop them. You've got to sort
No,
of slowly approach the
exactly.
silence. Yeah,
Little
right.
by
Okay.
little. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. And just so we need to sort of prepare ourselves. So this is a really important part of the meditation, is the preparation. So I usually tell people, just be as comfortable as you can. What we want to do is just make the body um, relaxed so that it doesn't bother us when we're trying to go into this silent
Yes.
space.
So if you
Um,
classically you see, say, Hindus
mm,
doing their meditation, and they've got themselves into not contorted positions, but quite strenuous positions. With their legs in the lotus position, up like that. Now I'm of a certain age where I used to be quite flexible. I still am reasonably flexible, but I'm not sure I could sit for any length of time with the heels of my feet, of my legs rather, on my knees as they sit there, and then be upright like this, because I could feel that my spine would go, gravity would come down. Presumably there's lots of training to get to a point where you could relax in
mm,
such a well, what would seem to be a tense
yeah,
position. But so you're
yeah.
saying you don't have to adopt these positions. Can you do it lying down, or is there a
Yeah, I
fear that
think
you
just
just
be
doze
as
off?
comfortable as, yeah, absolutely. Sit in your comfortable chair or recliner even, or
Right.
lie down on the bed. As I say, the main aim is just to relax and make your body as comfortable as possible so that it doesn't bug you in
Yes.
silence. Yes, so I would say that. And also, I think it's a good idea to keep the spine straight. And the reason for that is because they've discovered the way that this divine energy flows through us. It comes in through the top of the head, like you think about where that soft spot is on a baby's head, that kind of
Oh
area.
yeah.
It comes in through the head, goes down through the spine. It anchors in the heart, and then it extends from there. If you go to a site called Heart Math, they've got diagrams there showing how this energy moves within us. So to
Oh
keep
right.
the
I should
spine
write that
straight
down.
is a good thing. Now, this energy obviously is very, very fine. We can't see it. We can't pick it up with our eyes. We're not equipped for it. Um, and normally you can't feel it, but when you do become more adept at meditation, some people do start to feel it, and you'll feel it sort of moving in a kind of a spiral
Oh
movement
right.
down through your body. You can actually get to that point where you can feel that movement within you, and that's really special when you pick that up.
Yeah.
Um, so
Well.
yeah, keep your spine straight and come to it really with very loving intention and an open mind. There's nothing particularly religious about it, and you don't have to be religious to meditate. Some people just do it because they want to be calmer
Yes.
and less reactive to situations. And you do find that over time you do become less reactive. It allows you just to provide that little bit of space between you and whatever is happening in front of you, instead of being impulsive and becoming enmeshed in the drama. you're
Yes.
able to you're able to just take a little step back and almost just sort of watch it as an observer, and that just gives you a little space to consider a better way forwards, the solution to that problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
because
you
I
got
mean, I know people who do, something happens and it might be a minor thing, but already they're fired up, ready to sort
mm,
of go into battle. And you think, oh, blight, calm down. It's not that
yeah.
bad.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I think meditation just helps with that. And some people just do it for that reason because they just want
Mm,
to be generally calmer and take control of their thinking as well. Once they become
yes.
aware that a lot of these thoughts are negative and it's not doing them any good at all, then they want to somehow, take the reins back, take control and get a hold of that.
Yes. I
Yeah,
mean,
and other
it's it.
people.
Sorry, I was just going to say it's interesting. You were saying a lot of people the negative stuff. People worry about a lot of things. A bill will come in, and they may be worrying for days. How am I going to pay this? How am I going to bring this sort of thing? How am I going to do this, that, and the other, or whatever? They're always worrying about something, and it's very hard to shift those worries in our thinking because even though you can't, and people say, well, if can you do anything about it? No. Well, don't worry about it then. You're wasting time. But it's
Mm,
so difficult to get out of that loop, even though you may have spent 10 minutes
mm,
thinking about every connotation of it. It keeps just coming back, doesn't it? And
mm.
you go, oh yeah, no, I still
That's
can't pay
yeah,
that bill. What am I going to
absolutely.
do? So this will help with that. Will with sort of
It
stopping the
absolutely does. And
yeah.
it will help with that because eventually you become aware that this deeper part of who you are has the answers to those problems. And
Right.
you just need to be listening and attune yourself. Now, the answers can come like little inner knowings, little nudges. It might be a series of coincidences, and you begin to realize, hey, that's the sixth coincidence that's happened. You begin to realize there's a pattern here.
Right.
Certain doors are closing in front of you, and other doors are opening, and you're just being nudged in a certain direction, and you become aware that something is happening, something is guiding you, something is helping you to resolve your problems. So yeah, that's something really good that comes out of this silent meditation, that you become attuned to this. And maybe at this point I could just share with you a dream that I had, which
Mm.
was really what a rather big nudge that I got. But I think maybe just because I was open to it happened. So I've had a few dreams in my life that have come true, but this one particularly stands out. When we moved to Canada, here we're in British Columbia, in 2003 with our three little children. Then it was quite a big move, and we
From the
hadn't yet
UK.
from the UK. Yeah,
Yeah.
we hadn't yet sold our property there, so we left it on the market and we came here and we rented a place, for a year. And at first we weren't looking at properties to buy because there was no point, because we hadn't yet sold our house. But eventually we got the message through that the house had sold, so now we could go and look for properties to buy here. So as you do, you go along to the estate agents that they call realtors here. Went to the estate agents and got all the leaflets off the shelves, and it was just busy, so I just picked up loads of different leaflets. I thought I'll look at these properly when we get home, me and my husband. So when we got home, it was sort of late at night, and we had all these, and we thought, right, well, that's too expensive. Just looked on the first page, or that's too expensive, that'll go in that pile. This
Yeah.
is affordable, we'll put it in that pile. And we just had these two piles, and we thought tomorrow we'll look through the pile that we can afford, and we'll see about going to see a few of them. And the others, well, we'll just discard them or take them back to the estate agents. So that was it. Went to bed and had this dream where I saw this building with three French doors. So it's quite, noticeable with having three French doors. It wasn't like a house. It was just
Right.
like an outbuilding or something. So it really stood out. And I was sort of viewing this property. And as I stood there viewing it, this lady came and walked diagonally from the right hand side, diagonally in front of this building, and came up to me and said something a little bit unkind. And I could see what she looked like. She had very short grey hair, and I could see who she was. But she said something a bit unkind, a bit unpleasant. I thought, oh, you know,
That's charming, that is.
I didn't hear what she said, but I just knew it wasn't very, very nice.
Right. Yeah.
And then the next scene, I was in this building with these three French doors, and I was in the back left-hand part of it, and I could see all the plumbing. And it came to me, oh, if we wanted to make this part a rental, to rent out to help pay the mortgage, this would be where you'd have your bathroom and your kitchen, because this is where all the pipes and all the water
Right. Yeah.
system is. And that was the end of the dream. So the next morning it was quite vivid. So I thought, right, oh, I wonder if it's any of these, here. So I looked at all the ones that we could afford and went through them. No, no building there with these three French doors. So then I looked in the pile that we couldn't afford, and there it was
Oh
on
wow.
either the second or the third page of one of these information
Brochures. Yeah.
sheets. It wasn't on the front page. You have to look through it to see it because it was an outbuilding.
Oh, and you hadn't seen it then?
No, because I just
No.
looked at the front page and at the
Yeah.
price. So, and
Extraordinary.
extraordinary, absolutely. And there it was with these three French doors. And so, as you can imagine, I was quite taken aback. But the trouble was, it was $200,000 more than we could afford, even with the maximum mortgage that
Oh
we could
gosh.
afford. It was
Yeah.
totally beyond our price range.
So yeah, nice dream, but not
Yeah,
realistic at that stage.
exactly. But because I'd seen it in the dream, and there it was, I thought there must
Mm.
be something to this, because I've become attuned to listening to these nudges, that
Yes.
there must be something to this. So we arranged to see three properties, two that we could afford, and this one that we couldn't afford.
Right. Why
And
not?
I said to the divine God, whatever you want
Yeah.
to call this, look, it seems a bit silly, trying to buy a house that you can't afford just from me having this dream. Could you
Yes.
please tell somebody else in the family? If this is the house that we're supposed to have, could you tell somebody else? So we said to our children, who are all very little then, and I didn't tell them about the dream or anything. They wouldn't have been interested in that kind of
Mm.
stuff. But we just said, we're going to see three houses today. It was a Saturday, so they came with us. And I said, now, if you have any messages from God or anything, any feelings, that you think this is the right house for us, and just let us know. So we just put that out there. So we went to see the first house that we could afford, no messages. And this was the second house on the list. And we literally just put one tire on the driveway. You couldn't even see the house. We just literally started to come onto this driveway. And our middle son, who was 8 years old, jumped out of his seat. And he said, Mom, 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 God's just told me this is the one, this is the one. So as you can imagine,
Yes.
I was just like, oh my goodness. So we came up here, and we parked outside this building with the three French doors. And we got out the car, and lo and behold, here comes this lady that I'd seen in my dream.
Oh
Exactly. With the
my
short grey hair.
gosh. Yeah.
Exactly. And walking in exactly the same way, diagonally right across, and coming in front of the building. She came right up to us and she said, you're a few minutes early. You'll have to go back, go away, and come back again in a few minutes, which was a bit off,
Yeah.
which again
Yeah.
was like the dream that it
Yeah.
was a little bit of an unpleasant thing. Because I mean, if that'd been me, I'd have said, oh, hang around for a few minutes, but it was like,
Yeah.
no,
Do you
you can't
mind
stay
hanging?
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, go somewhere else. So
Give us 10 minutes, have a little
ex-
stroll down the thing and come back if you
exactly.
wouldn't mind. Yeah, of course.
That's right. So I thought, oh, well, okay then. So we went off the property. We parked in a lay-by for 5 minutes, and then we came back. And then, of course, she showed us the main house, and then showed us this building with the three French doors. So, of course, I was very curious. Is the plumbing where I'd seen it? And it was. The plumbing was there. But it
Right.
wasn't a rental unit, it was they were using it for some business purposes. They made paper products, so it's all like a
Right.
business type thing. But there was all the plumbing and everything. So if you were going to make this into a rental, that would be where you'd have your bathroom and your kitchen and stuff.
Yeah.
So everything was just as I'd seen it in the dream. So this was so bizarre. So we just knew that this was earmarked for us, but we couldn't afford it, and we didn't have any great aunts with pots of
With a nice
money that
heritage,
we
yeah.
could ask to help, anything like that. So, and I felt a bit embarrassed because I thought, well, it's a bit of an insult to the people, to
Yes.
offer them 200,000 less. But anyway, we went ahead and did that.
Did
And
you? Oh, you actually said, "Oh, can't afford what you're asking. We'll give you
yeah,
ready to be laughed out of the street."
exactly. So that's what
Yeah.
we did. And they basically laughed.
Oh, did they? That's interesting.
That's just bizarre,
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
And of course, our estate agent thought that we were mad and
Yes.
ridiculous as well. But we put it out there. Anyway, so she kept coming back to us and saying, "Can you up your offer? Can you up your offer?" No, we just can't. No, this is the maximum. It's not possible.
Mm.
She says, "Well, they've told me they're not going to sell it to you at that price. They would rather rent it out than sell it, and it's going to stay on the market." So this was about the August time. So we just had sort of let it be, and we just kept seeing it on the market week after week and thinking, well, any minute now it's going to go, because it was a beautiful property and there's no
Yeah.
reason why it shouldn't sell. And anyway, it gets to about the October time, and our estate agent, who really by this time thought we were crazy because we weren't really taking much interest in other houses. She kept trying to get us interested in other houses, and I decided I'd tell her because she needed to know. I told her about the dream. I said, and this is why we're holding on to this, because we feel like there's something in this. And of course, she didn't believe in any of this kind of thing. So she thought thought I was really
Yeah.
mad. Anyway, so I said it's about this October time. Now, the rental place that we had to leave there on the 14th of January. And if we wanted to continue living there, we had to give notice to them on the 14th of December. So we said to the realtor, look, if nothing has happened by the 14th of December, then obviously we will have to look at other houses. We'll have to move on from here, because that's really the last day that we can let it go to. So she says, okay. And then never heard anything else from her from the October onwards until the 14th of December,
Oh,
when she
blimey.
called us to say, they have accepted your offer. It's yours.
Wow. So they must have been desperate at that time, and weird, isn't it? Nobody
Weird.
else went near their price,
No,
and you just hung out for it.
it was just so weird. And then within a month, we were here. By the 14th of January, we were here. And as time's gone on, it's become more clear to us why we were directed here, because of the days that we're living in now, as you are well aware and your viewers are well aware. We need to become more self-sufficient. So we have a little farm here, and we've got some vines. We've got peach tree, plums, apples, all sorts of things. We've got
Wow.
an irrigation system
Oh
because
my goodness.
it's quite dry here in the summer. A lot of people have problems with water, but we don't, because we've got like this little lake thing that with all the irrigation already linked in, so that we can keep watering through the summer. We've got lots of trees, and we've got a wood stove, so we can keep our home heated from our own wood. So now it's becoming more and more clear as to why we were directed here. Anyway, I know that was a long story, but I think it
no, but
just shows.
let me ask you then, because if what you say is all sort of like some divine provenance, or and you were guided there, what do you say to those people who perhaps meditate, think they're in contact with something, but things don't happen? That they might have a similar thing of think, well, we'd like to be self-sufficient. I mean, my partner and I would like to be self-sufficient. We're not yet having any luck finding anything within our price range. And but there'll be other people who might go, well, that's great. It's great for you. It's a lovely story. But they may say, well, we want to do something like that. We've been trying this for 10 years and nothing's happened. So is there a thing that this is available, this whatever the I'm trying to think of an appropriate word, the magic that's worked for you, does it work for everyone, or will just naturally many people be disappointed because they just somehow were not nudged?
Personally, I think it happens for everybody because we're all souls having this physical experience. It's a matter of tapping into the deeper part of who we are to become aware of those nudges. Now, not everybody, it might not be everybody's path to be, in a place where they can be self-sufficient. Maybe they're called into a different realm of living and working. Who knows? There's all different,
The internet's just paused
modes
there.
of living. Maybe there'll be.
Sorry, the just a little bit of break up on the internet connection there, but I think we're back.
Okay, yeah, all sorts of different possibilities for people. We're not all going to do exactly the same thing, but I think it is important to tap into that deeper part of who we are, because that's where the answers lie.
Right.
Often people will go out and ask advice from friends and family, and that's great. Sometimes they'll give you great advice, sometimes not so great advice.
No, exactly.
But this inner guidance, you can always trust it, and it'll always be right.
So would you say that sometimes somebody might be chasing a dream, they do the meditation, they get in touch with their inner self, and actually the inner self says, that's not what you're here to do. And then when they realize what it is, they actually kind of see it and go, oh, okay, oops. And away they go on that mission, and things then perhaps work better. So often we think we're in the right lane, but actually the lane is perhaps going off in a different way. We just don't know. We haven't worked that bit out somehow.
Yeah, I think it's being open to doing the best for you. And sometimes we don't know with our finite mind what is always the best for us. So that's why we need to tap in to the greater wisdom and find out what our purpose is in life and the way that we should go. And you don't get the whole thing all at once. Well, maybe some people do, but I don't. You just get little nudges, as each problem or issue arises, you get little nudges about how to deal with that. And
some people say they get downloads. They refer to them as downloads, which is, I suppose, modern parlance, really, a computer terminology. Well, they'll suddenly get a whole bunch of information very quickly, and then they try to disseminate it or assimilate it themselves, and then try to work out what to do with it. Yeah. And is it blindingly obvious when you're in I mean, you talk about nudges, so it obviously can be quite subtle. Do you think, but do you, once this starts happening, do you believe it, or do you think, oh, that's just part of me that's saying hopeful, like with your house, and thinking, oh no, that's just me wishing that this would happen, not really something telling me it's likely or will happen?
Yeah, well, I think it's just.
I mean, how do you know it's not wishful thinking? Because I mean, we all have a bit of wishful thinking and thinking, oh, I think I've just been told I ought to buy that Porsche. Or at least that's what I'm going to tell the wife. Yeah. And that may not be the case at all.
I think if you're just open to your inner guidance, your heart intention is right, and your mind is open, then you will begin to see the guidance and learn the guidance, and you'll be able to distinguish between what is wishful thinking and what is truly your path in life. It all comes down to becoming sensitive enough to this guidance, which is where the meditation comes in. It allows you that space to do that.
Well, shall we find out more about the meditation so that people who are now thinking, oh yes, I quite fancy that, to get in touch with my inner self, and I think we'd all benefit. Well, obviously, we'd all benefit from that because we'd find out what we should be doing with our lives.
Exactly. And everybody wants to know, don't they, what their
Yeah.
purpose is and their plan. Yeah. Okay. So shall I just guide people now into a little meditation session?
Yeah, that sounds
Mhm.
great because
Okay.
presumably there's preparation that you need to do,
Yeah.
and then we'll do a little bit of it. Obviously, we won't do the full. What do you normally
Mhm.
do? 10 minutes, I think you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah. I host a meditation session on Mondays, UK time, 7 o'clock.
Right.
And we do a 10-minute silent meditation, and we do quite a bit of preparation beforehand to help us to do that. But maybe just for our purposes today, we'll do a 5-minute silent meditation, but we'll do the preparation for it because,
Beforehand.
yeah, as I
Yeah.
say, we have to calm our bodies and minds down sufficiently so that the silent meditation is meaningful to us. Okay.
So it
So,
just before you start, if you happen to be one of those people who listens to these things without watching and you're driving, don't
mhm,
do this because we don't want you to fall asleep or suddenly lose concentration at the wheel. And if you're, say, in the kitchen or something, you've got this on, and I often listen to things when I'm preparing food in the kitchen. It's great. If you've got a few minutes, why not find a comfortable seat and join us? And if you're doing anything else and you fancy it, then we'll give it a whirl. It'd be lovely to get the feedback from people if they've sorted themselves out, found a nice comfortable bit, and just join us to see what they get out of it on this little introduction. So, Kim,
mhm.
over to you.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so there's many different ways that you can relax your body and your mind, but the quickest way I've found is through deep breathing. So we're going to do 3 deep breaths, and I'll count to 8. And when you take your first deep breath in, take it right from your abdomen. I'll be counting to 8 as you take this breath in, take it in through the nose, and then hold that breath for the count of 8, and then release for the count of 8. So you're releasing quite slowly. And it's a good idea to release through slightly pursed lips, like
Oh, okay.
the reason for that is because when you're stressed, you might have noticed you go, it's a
Yes.
natural reflex of the body. So it helps to get that tension, stress out of the body. And so we'll do that 3 times. And also in the middle of this, I will talk about this energy coming in through us, and we'll talk about it bringing peace to our bodies. So yeah, let's make a start then with our
Okay.
first.
And yes, you said also about keeping the spine straight, didn't you?
I did,
So
yeah.
I'm
Yeah, so
trying to
maybe
try
I'll
and
give
be.
people a reminder for that. Keep your spine straight and sit as comfortably as you can. Sit on your comfortable chair or your recliner, or you can even lie on your bed if you want. A lot of people who come to the session on Mondays lie on their beds because they feel really relaxed lying on the
Yeah.
bed. Okay,
Okay.
and
Well,
just
I'll have to sit like this because otherwise I'll
yeah,
just
I
disappear.
know, I know. And just have an open mind and loving intentions. That's all you really need.
Yeah.
So here we go. Let's take our first deep breath in from your abdomen. So breathe in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Release 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe gently. Allow yourself to soften. Relax. You'll probably notice, even from that first breath, that you feel a difference in your body. Just go with it and allow this peace to flow. Breathe gently. Relax. Now we'll take our second deep breath in. Here we go. Breathe in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Release 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe gently. Relax. Allow the peace to flow. Don't resist. Now I want you to put your attention to the top of your head, which is where this divine energy flows into you. Put your attention there and become aware of this energy which is full of love, full of peace, bringing everything that you need into your body and into your mind. Follow it through to your forehead. Allow your forehead to soften. Soften any frown lines. Just relax. Now let's take our attention to our eyes. Allow your eyes to relax. And all those muscles around the eyes that work so hard, allow them to soften. Feel the peace there. Now let's follow it down to the bottom of our face, to the jaw area. Make sure you're not clenching your teeth, and allow your jaw to soften. Completely relax. And let's follow this down through the neck. All these muscles that often get quite tense in the neck. Let's allow this divine peace to flow through and soften all these muscles in the neck. All you need to do is just allow. Let's take our awareness to our shoulders. Give the back, the top and the front of your shoulders. And let this whole shoulder area be bathed in divine peace. Like a warm blanket, softening the shoulders, soothing them. Just allow. Don't resist. Now let's follow this peace down right through our arms. Allow it to flow right down to your fingertips. Let your arms hang loose by your side. They may feel heavy or warm, that's all good. Just let them relax. It's so lovely. And let's follow it through our body, through the chest area. Just relax and soften. Now down into the abdomen. Allow this divine energy to do its work, refreshing all the organs there, bringing to each one exactly what it needs. Healing, refreshment. Just allow. Now down into the hips. Let your hips completely soften and relax. And let's follow it down through the legs, right down to the soles of the feet. Let your legs hang loose and be completely at peace. Now we're just going to sit as we're bathed in this peace, just for a few seconds. We'll just lap it up, take it in. Now we're ready for our third deep breath in. So here we go. Breathe in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Release 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe gently. Relax. I'm going to share my screen with you. Hopefully you can see that. So I want you to relax as deep as you possibly can. And also let your mind go as blank as you can. And we'll start our 5 minutes silent meditation. And I will give you a reminder after every minute to bring your focus back to the silence. Now, when your thoughts come to distract you, don't become agitated. Just bring your attention to your breath. Follow your breath in, follow your breath out, follow your breath in, follow your breath out. And in this way, those thoughts will go to the back of the mind and be less troublesome. And to help, as I say, after every minute, I will draw your attention back to the silence. So we now begin our 5-minute silent meditation. 1 minute. Be still. Two minutes. Be still. Three minutes. Be still. 4 minutes. Be still. 5 minutes. That is the end of the silent meditation, and we'll move on gently from here. So just as we're coming out of that, I'd like you to think of something for which you're grateful. It could be a person, a place, an object, anything at all. Just think of something. Now allow a feeling of gratitude to well up within you. You'll probably feel that somewhere in the center of your being. Maybe your heart area, solar plexus. Just feel gratitude well up. You can enhance this by putting a little smile on your face, and that will release those feel-good chemicals from your brain, serotonin and dopamine and so on. And this is very powerful, this feeling of gratitude. Thank you, everybody, for sharing in this meditation. I'm going to stop the sharing screen now and come back to Richard.
There we go. How about that?
Very good.
Now I was trying to participate, but with all the gear around me and making sure nothing I didn't lose. I something I'll have to do privately on my own when I'm not surrounded by all this. So I wouldn't have got the full experience, and also then I had to suddenly remember to share the screen from my end. So but I'm sure it'd be interesting to see how other people, of course, who didn't have all those complications that I had at the time. Also, this is not the most comfortable chair to relax in, I have to say, sitting in the studio here. But it would be interesting to see how everybody else cope with that, if it's the first time they've done any meditation, or if they've done it before, and if they've got anything to add, that would be interesting as well. The question that did dawn on me as we were doing this, though, was, why is it then, if we are, as you say, we have this spirit inside us that is nudging us slowly, why is it that we have this existence in which the other part of the brain, the most conscious part of the brain, is going 9 tenths to the dozen and doesn't hear it? It seems as if this is a physical experience for the soul, a bit of a mismatch, that it's unable to make the best of it, because some people will probably never connect up with their soul in their lives, and you can guess at certain types of people who are so
it's almost
low
like
vibration.
It's almost like there's a mental infection going on, I would say, perhaps generated by the media, Hollywood, all the propaganda and stuff. It's like there's a collective unconsciousness that we tap into unbeknownst to us, that tends to be leading us down these negative tracks. And also the fact that our minds and our thinking have just run away with us. Instead of us being in control of it, it seems to have taken control of us. But it is possible to pull back, and through doing the kind of meditation, and quieten your mind more and reduce those thoughts, and certainly to reduce the negative element of those thoughts as well, and to be more hopeful about things. Look on the positive side and see that things can work out for you. Just having that hope within you makes a big difference.
Yes, and it must be very difficult for some people who've had so much negativity or physical damage, or just so much bad luck in them. I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, I never win the lottery, I never win at games, I never win, everything always seems to go wrong." Now, that may be them programming themselves to have all that, but it's very difficult to pull out of that zone. And sometimes, I know what it's like, sometimes when you're a bit down, you don't want to be cheerful. You're in that zone, and you go, I know I should be cheerful. I know I should pull out. I've got a lot to be thankful for. And you just go, I can't be bothered with it at the moment. I want to sort of, sit here in my own tears, as it were, and my own misery, and be miserable. And eventually something happens that you do pull yourself out and think, thank God I'm out of that. But at the time, what do you say to people who might be more cynical because so much of life hasn't been very kind to them?
I would say we are not aware of the power of our thoughts and our feelings. These are our tools of creation. We are told that we are co-creators, that we do have this power of creation within us. And our primary tool is really our mindset, our thinking, and our feelings. And people have lost sight of this. So once we can align our thoughts and our feelings with the direction in which, we feel is a good direction for us, and, if we've had some kind of inner guidance, or we know generally, that's a more loving path to take, that's a more positive path to take, then we have to make the effort to align our thoughts and feelings with those goals, because we can't go around thinking critically and negatively like we do day in and day out and expect our lives to be a bed of roses, because we are creating the negative circumstances. But people don't realize this, because you can't actually physically see your thought. People
Yes.
don't realize that they are creating with every thought they have.
Yes, but it's getting that message to people who might look at what you've just described as a bit of hocus pocus and is unlike, because they're so in a low vibration state, shall we say? They're
Yeah.
so. How do you convince people to change their thoughts, which may be so deeply ingrained that even though they're thinking negatively, and they may listen to you and go, but that's all hocus pocus. How
Yeah,
do you, yeah, how do you
yeah, it's
reach
very
those
hard.
people?
It's hard to do so, but I think sometimes sometimes they have to reach the bottom, don't they? They end up in a pit of despair, and they realize that everything they've tried thus far, nothing's worked,
Yeah.
nothing's going their way. So then they get to the point where they become open. They suddenly open their minds because they need to find a way forwards. And sometimes, unfortunately, people do seem to have to go that low before they will even entertain the idea that their own thoughts and their own feelings could be creating the circumstances of their lives.
Yeah. Well, it is fascinating. I think. I mean, even if, and I'm not suggesting for a moment that it wasn't a thing, it's obviously going to be much more beneficial for people if they're thinking positive, because it's amazing how when you start to feel a bit more positive, you feel better. You just feel
Mm,
better, don't you? And you
you
feel more
do.
happier. And
Mm,
even if that's all people got out of it, that would
mm,
be something. But if you're
mm.
able to touch your inner self and get those nudges to help you go on the line that is going to be best for you, then how fantastic can that be? That is,
That's fantastic, isn't it? I mean, that really opens up your whole life, doesn't it? Because you have confidence now that you are on the right path, you're doing the right things, you are being guided, and doors are opening for you. I mean, that's what we all want, isn't it?
yes. So people got nothing to lose by giving it a whirl. That's what I'm trying to say is, you've
Give
got
it a
nothing to
whirl.
lose by giving it a whirl, and
Mm,
clearly you're not going to hit it off straight away. I mean, maybe some people do, but
mm,
it's as we said at the beginning, it's a slow process that
mm.
you need to presumably get into a habit of doing it. Would you recommend the same time each
I
day so it
would.
becomes?
I really would, because we're creatures of habit. And
Mm,
you find, your body will start to say to you, hey, I want to do that today. What's
right.
happened? You're missing it out. So either first thing in the morning when you get up, or just before you go to bed, or if that doesn't work out for you, maybe during a lunch break, or whatever. And just find the time that works for you and stick
Yes.
to it. Just 10 minutes a
And
day.
does it matter if you fall asleep?
Well, it doesn't really matter. It means that you've relaxed sufficiently. So if you sometimes fall to sleep, it doesn't really matter. No.
No, I'm just
Um,
thinking because if I know if I'm doing it on my bed and I'm
mm,
lying there and I completely relax and all that, the trouble is with me is I fall asleep very quickly, especially if I
mm,
lie down. So that's probably not
okay.
the best place for me because I'll just be
Okay.
off and then the next thing it's in either the middle of the night or it's in the morning and I'm going,
Mm,
curses! I didn't even notice
yeah.
I've fallen
Yeah.
asleep. You've got
I
to get
suppose
up again.
ideally you want to be in that state where you're almost asleep, but you're
Yes,
consciously still with it enough, sort of in that
yes.
special state, aware state. Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, I would say you do have to do it regular, and just get into that habit. At first, it's really difficult. probably people who haven't done it before find even 1 minute of not thinking is impossible.
And you start to itch, don't you? I mean, as soon as you start concentrating on yourself, suddenly those itches that you hadn't noticed before, it's like, oh,
come.
get rid of them.
Yeah,
For
that's
goodness
right.
sake.
Yeah,
You start becoming very self-aware of the body, and you might hear your heart beating or feel
that's
it beating. I've had those sort of experiences.
Yeah, that's right.
Or then you start hearing the noises outside, and some idiot on a motorbike that's too loud, like, oh, please, I'm trying to relax. Or the pneumatic drill in the street starts going off.
Yeah, I think what you have to do is not get agitated with the thoughts or the sounds. Try not to get agitated with them, because that kind of is defeating the object.
Yes.
Just bring the attention back to the breath. Follow the breath in, follow the breath out. Just put your attention there. And those thoughts will probably still carry on, but they'll be sort of more in the distance, in the background, not being so intrusive.
Yes.
So I would say that's important. Don't get agitated about the thoughts, because they will come. They just will. But after you've meditated for a long time, and you've been doing your 10 minutes a day for several months, you'll find it much easier, and then you'll actually feel like you want to do longer, because it's so enjoyable, and you want to spend longer in that silence. It's like your special time just for you.
And presumably, if you've got young kids or other neighbours or whatever, you don't want them barging in on you at the time, So you've got to sort of tell people, I'm busy.
Yeah, that's right. It's your special time, so lock yourself away if you can. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, it'll be interesting to see the comments and read what people do. Thank you so much for sharing that. Where can people find out if they want to get in touch with you, ask you questions, or you said you do a thing on a Monday, I think, if they want to join you? Is it unlimited? Do you do it over Zoom?
Yeah, I do it over Zoom, and I have people from the UK join in. It's at 7:00 UK time every Monday, and if you would like to join in, it's completely free, and it's lovely to join with others doing the same thing. All you need to do is go to my website, which is innerhealingacademy.com. I'm sure you'll put that in
I'll put the link in the description. Yeah.
And just go to the meditation tab there, and you'll see there's a contact form. You just have to put your name and email, that's all. And then I'll be able to send you the Zoom link every Monday, and you can join in. And there's no, not a lot of chatter or discussion. It's very focused on the meditation. And I've had a lot of great feedback that people say that it is really helping them to deepen their practice, and encouraging them and inspiring them to keep going on with it through the remainder of the week.
And I guess by joining something like yours, because it's a regular thing, it then gives people that, because sometimes people aren't always as easily self-motivated, so they need that sort of, 7:00, it's in the diary, I do this every Monday at 7, because somebody else has organised it. Just makes sometimes it very easier, doesn't it?
That's
and then
right.
Once they've built that habit, if for any reason you can't make it, they'll probably still do it anyway.
That's right. It becomes a habit, something that becomes ingrained. So everybody's welcome.
Everybody's welcome. Give it a whirl. There you go. Kim, thank you so much for discussing that. It's been fascinating to learn about meditation. As you say, lots of different types, but I think that is quite tricky for people at first to sort of squash those thoughts. But you've just got to give it time. Like learning to drive takes time until it becomes automatic, and then you don't even think about it, and then you can enjoy the driving or enjoy the meditation.
That's right, exactly.
Brilliant. Wonderful. Okay. Well, thank you so much. That's been fantastic. Innerhealingacademy.com, did you say?
.com, yeah.
.com, yeah. I'll put that in the description. But there we go. Thank you so much. I'll be back. It's my pleasure. Thank you very much. I'm all relaxed now. So I will be back again with some more interviews and monologues and what have you on the channel. But in the meantime, from Kim and I, thank you so much for watching. It's been slightly different to go and meditate, but it's been great fun. Till next time, bye-bye.